Yo, what is going on, my good peoples? It's your girl Fox here, and today, what do I have today? Today I have, um, some of the more, I guess you could say, higher end items, that are kind of sort of in my collection. These games, I found were, uh, relatively on the more expensive side. Um, and depending on the condition and if they are complete or not, uh, they're definitely they're definitely adding some money value when it comes to uh, just exactly you know the collection as a whole. So before we actually get into that, there are just a few more things that I did forget to show you all. Um, Not by choice, but just because memory and whatnot is terrible. So the first thing is uh, I have my Xbox 360. I had to grab it from my old place. But yeah, it she is snug right in there. And the second things I have are these OG Game Boy games. So we have Final Fantasy Legend 3, Final Fantasy Legend 2, and Final Fantasy Adventure. And then another interesting one. Shout out to my guy Ash, PGR. Sorry, didn't mean to sound like I said something else. Ash, Ash, aka from what I knew him as Punk Gaming Retro. Um, he put me onto this World Cup GBA game. And I played it, and it was actually not too bad. It was actually pretty fun. You could slide tackle the crap out of people, and that is that is pretty hilarious. Um, so I have a microphone. I have a microphone with me today, peoples. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult to kind of do, considering that both of my hands now are, you know, taken up. Uh, but we gonna get through it. We gonna work through it. And I might have a way to kind of take care of that. Sorry if you saw other stuff. That's just me moving my hands around. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna set this down and rearrange it like so, if it will stay. And this actually might work out because I'll be able to at least rearrange some of the games that I kind of want to showcase. Up, up, y'all already saw. Up, game over. GG. Movie. Thing's done. No, I'm kidding. Um, so I think what I might do first is let me clear the area. Let me go on ahead and go and work my way up. I think these guys could fetch a pretty penny if they really like it with the completes. I think. Maybe not that one. And feel free to correct me kindly in the comments if I missed any of them that are actually high in value, especially with the OG Game Boy games that you saw. So for right now, I think I'm gonna do these three. So obviously, right off the bat, not messing around with. Whoa, what is happening? Hello, focus. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. Right off the get go, obviously the OG Pokemon games are going to be hitting high in prices, especially if you can somehow find completes. The most priciest one definitely is Pokemon Crystal. Just because I guess it was so sought after, and they didn't. I could be wrong. Please, again, feel free to calmly and nicely correct me in the comment section. Pokemon Crystal, just I guess because obviously it was an updated version of Gold, OG Gold and Silver. Crystal kind of I think people said that it didn't do so well. So that's kind of the reason why it's now really sought after, because um it kind of didn't really do that well, but also it was kind of very nostalgic for others. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. But I picked Pokemon Pikachu and Gold Up from DK Oldies. Shout out to DK Oldies. I know I'm probably going to get some flack with them. But I have both of those copies and they worked. Crystal is actually very interesting. My aunt, who her son-in-law had accidentally left some games behind, but he just kind of didn't want them anymore. Pokemon Crystal was actually what he had in like an old Game Boy game pouch, like one of those little carrying cases. So she had asked me one day, Dom, want do you want this? And I was like, I mean, yeah, sure, absolutely. And lo and behold, the video is actually up on one of my Instagrams. So I'll probably if I can download it or kind of just like screen record it, I'll take it and put up on here on YouTube. But that Pokemon Crystal was actually one of the games that was in there, and I've seen this game go for like 150 plus. So it is definitely more high end than anything. So, oh snap, is that a pause feature? Okay, so that was a pause feature. So that's actually pretty good considering the fact that now I can kind of pause my video on my iPhone and rearrange stuff. I'll freak out about that later, but that's awesome. Anyways, sorry. So in the next lineup, again, more Pokemon games with a Zelda game. And, I have a straggler. I also managed to get... my Golden Sun, I believe might have been in the collection video. But, obviously, the heaviest hitters, again, Pokemon with Emerald being the most expensive out of the bunch. I've seen Emerald go for, if it's complete, at least like maybe $400 plus bucks. I forget exactly where I got that particular copy. I think it was from a GameStop long ago when GameStop still had GBA games. A friend of mine actually got me the Minish Cap from a shop down in Maryland. And then, once again, Pokemon Sapphire, Fire Red, and Golden Sun. These three were purchased from DK Oldies. All, of course, working perfectly fine. And, yeah, those are just, more pricier regarding the GBA era. I should also mention that I have seen the Minish Cap go for fair prices. We're talking like maybe $89, which was exactly what my friend Kyle my friend paid for that. And then Sapphire, not as high as Emerald, but I've seen it go for like pretty much kind of the same amount as Crystal, like 150-ish. Fire Red, 130. But again, depending on if you are a collector and you want the complete series, these definitely will run you a lot more because no one kept the packaging to these games when we were younger. Those that did, I guess maybe they knew, or they just wanted to keep their collection pristine, which is, hey, that they were doing what they needed to do. They kept their stuff clean and looking good. So now we move on to my favorite era. And as you already see the legend in the background. Anyway, sorry. So we have the Fatal Frame series, the OG trilogy. Fatal Frame 1, the OG original. Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly, and Fatal Frame 3, The Tormented. Now, altogether, I have seen this trilogy, complete and all, go for at least $300, and that's on Amazon. All three of these games I actually managed to, find when I was younger. They've given me some of the best. They've given me some of the best memories. Out of the three, the Tormented is my absolute favorite. Just something, obviously, aside from like the atmosphere and everything, it was amazing, and it was a staple in like my young adolescence. Fatal Frame 2 is deemed one of the most scariest. And then Fatal Frame 1, I have to say, is probably the clunkiest out of all of them, but rightfully so, considering the fact that it is number one, and, it was an introduction to, like, a completely different, like, twist on games, giving the fact that you have the camera obscura and you take pictures of ghosts, and that is how you fight them, which I thought was absolutely amazing, and just different, because it's like, imagine that, like, you go around taking pictures of ghosts and whatnot. Like, you have one that you I always thought when I was a kid, like, watch one of them hit like a pose or some stuff like that. It just a great series all around, but definitely getting up there in price. Again, if you get all three of these, I saw all three like together as like a bundle on Amazon for like $300+, and each on their own can run you a fair amount of money. I think the Tormented is probably the most, but I thought I had seen Fatal Frame 2 coming in at higher prices, considering the fact that it is one of the it's the scariest one in the series. So that is Fatal Frame. Sadly, that one is not complete, and this does not have the original artwork on it, so I kind of had to improvise. But yeah, please don't sue me. I just wanted to give it a cover. Okay, still keeping with the PlayStation 2 era, I have the GU series, the Dot Hack GU series. So you have Volume 1, Volume 2, or Volume 1 Rebirth, excuse me, Volume 2 Reminisce, and Volume 3 Redemption. And there was a fourth volume that came out as well. It was part of the Recoded series. I forget what the fourth one was called. But these are the three games regarding the GU series. I know that there is Dot Hack Infection, Dot Hack Mutation, Dot Hack Quarantine, and then Dot Hack Outbreak. I forget the order of them because sadly I don't have those, but your girl will be looking into getting those, especially Mr. The fourth one, I think, was Outbreak, or might have been Quarantine. I'm sorry, I'm not too familiar with the old OG ones. But Volume 1 of Dot Hack GU Rebirth, Volume 2 Reminisce, and Volume 3 Redemption, they are a bit pricey. I think I've seen some of these go for like maybe $80+. Now that's kind of sort of on the lower end compared to like the Fatal Frame series, but again, if you try and look for these guys in like bundles and stuff, like specifically again GU, you're looking at a pretty penny, like $300, around ballpark $200-$300. Again, with GU, Rebirth was actually the hardest one for me to find. And my aunt picked it up for me at a GameStop. Again, back when GameStop was still doing like PlayStation 2 games, like predominantly. I know GameStop now has a program where, you can buy old retro games. But yeah, she picked this up for me, but it sadly did not have like its original case. So I got one of those, GameStop ones that, Anyway, Reminisce, I think, was like slightly harder to get a hold of too, but mainly it was the first one. And then Rebirth, Jesus, the three R's. Redemption was actually a game that I think I either bought at GameStop or Walmart. I can't remember, but these three are some of the, like, this is one of the greatest trilogies of all time, especially for me when I was like in my teens and stuff, because the music and just something about these games just mwah, chef's kiss. I think I had the most fun with Redemption, and actually I kind of played them all out of order. I started with Redemption, then I jumped to Rebirth, and then ended it with Reminisce. So yeah, like I said, the prices for these, they fluctuate, and depending on if you buy them separately, they'll still run you some pretty pennies, unless you find them on deals, or if you have like coupons to lower them. But they're pretty pricey, at least from what I have seen. I could be wrong, but from what I have seen, the GU series is pretty pricey. Right. Now, moving on to what I call, if the PlayStation 2 wasn't in my life and I had gotten a Super Nintendo first, the Super Nintendo would have ruled my life. I swear to God it would have, because both of these libraries are insane. We move on to the SNES era, or the SNES era, as I know some people like to call it. And we have Final Fantasy III, Secret of Mana, Breath of Fire, Final Fantasy II, and Gaia. And I also have Final Fantasy, or not Final Fantasy, but or is it Final Fantasy? I always forget, like, just because so much history with Final Fantasy, and some of the games that should have been, other games that aren't, and whatnot. Games that originally weren't supposed to be Final Fantasy. But I'm yapping. I have Mystic Quest as well, but it's not too expensive. So I kind of decided to keep that out. But these guys right here, they definitely will. They could impose a little bit on you. And again, completes are a different story. And sadly, I do not have completes. But these guys did kind of, run me a little bit. I think the most out of this bunch, it was between Final Fantasy III and Final Fantasy II. I don't obviously know much about them. I got these again from DK Oldies, but they all are in exceptional and amazing condition. And I'm not just saying that because, yeah, I genuinely mean it. They have worked, and they are fun. They're very fun. Yeah, I have seen Final Fantasy III and Final Fantasy II kind of, they're up there, like 119, 120, depending on, again, if it's just by itself or if it's complete. Now, the completes obviously will run you more. Breath of Fire, the Breath of Fire 2 is much more than the OG Breath of Fire, but still worthy to be placed in here. Same with Secret of Mana, which I think third expensive, depending on where you get it from and if it's complete or not. And then Illusion of Gaia, I don't know much about that one, sadly, because again, wasn't part of the SNES era. But we are now winding down to the two big ones, and if you guys can guess what they are, well, these are the ones that cost me the most, so prepare yourselves. And the Raptors. Alright, so if you guessed the first one being Chrono Trigger, you were right. Good fellow. Or fella. Or person. Yeah, Chrono Trigger is one of the most expensive pieces of games that I have. Games? Whatever. it's expensive. Depending again on where you get it from and if it's a complete or not and if it's in good condition. Chrono Trigger is more than likely to run you from like maybe 200, 299 plus. I picked this up again from DK Oldies as a Valentine's Day gift for me, myself, and I. Because why? I could treat myself. And I did. And they had a cosmetically flawed copy, as you can tell. You can see some of the, like the wear and tear, kind of, sort of like on it, which it happens. It was probably loved and very much taken care of by its previous owner. But over time things wear down, but they're still good. But yeah, Chrono Trigger is one of boop. Sorry, baby. Chrono Trigger is Chrono Trigger is like it's up there. It very much is up there. I think I have even seen some complete copies go for like maybe 400, 500, 600 plus. It's a very much sought after game. I've played a little bit of it. I need to get back into it, but I can see why it is very much sought after. It's a darn good game. Very, very good game. And now the final one in my collection that ran my pockets. And it was deemed as cosmetically flawed. And that copy, ladies and gentlemen, is the fabled Earthbound. And aside from that one teeny tiny little ding, this was deemed as cosmetically flawed when I picked this up from DK Oldies. Now I can hear you guys, and I can hear some people saying, "Why would you do that? Why would you get something as crazy and wacky as Earthbound?" Well, I have it on my Switch, and I can hear you all. Why? So why didn't you just stay with the Switch? And they hear me out. We listen and we don't judge. Earthbound and Chrono Trigger are essentially some like the gems of the SNES, and having played it on the Switch, you have that rewind feature. Part of me kind of wanted to I wanted to test the limits of my abilities and see about doing this without that. Give myself the challenge of playing a game that a lot of people deem it's pretty tough, pretty challenging on the SNES. That, and because this is also kind of like a treat yourself gift. This game will run you, depending again on where you get it, and its its condition, $300 to like $1,000. I have seen complete copies of Earthbound on like eBay and sometimes even Amazon that are going for like $1,000 plus. The most I think I have ever seen was like $5,000. And I know that's like just scraping the surface. Again, depending on who's selling it, where you're getting it from, and whatnot. And I know I'm probably making a big spiel about it, but Earthbound is something else. It's definitely revolutionary. It was revolutionary for its time, and it's definitely a must play. And when I did play it, it's been a joy. Just from the different monsters to the different boss battles, and even the OST, it is definitely a banger, and I can see why a lot of people still try to look for it now. But it's it's not an easy hobby. Again, like I mentioned in my collection thing, I don't consider myself like a big time collector. But I do like a good challenge and whatnot. So yeah. And then a honorable mention, one that I just got. It would have to be Half-Life. So, like I said, honorable mention, Half-Life. It's the disc is actually currently in my PlayStation 2. But I picked this thing up on Amazon for about I think it was like $70. So it's up there, not too crazy, not too laid back and whatnot. But it is it's pretty rare. It is pretty rare, and Ash told me that as well. So yeah, that was kind of an honorable mention. And let me think. Was there anything else before I disappear? Shoot. The DS Pokemon games. 1 second. I genuinely don't know how I could have forgotten about them. And the Chrono Trigger DS game. But yes, so I know that Soul Silver, Black, White 2, Diamond, Platinum, Heart Gold, and Pearl. They are they can definitely get pretty pricey, especially White 2. I don't know why, but Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 are aside from Emerald, they are some of the most expensive, and Platinum. White 2, Pokemon Emerald, White 2, Black 2, and Platinum are some of the most expensive Pokemon games I think I have seen out there. Chrono Trigger, again, I picked this up from DK Oldies. That ran me about $99.99, so basically like $100 plus tax and shipping and whatnot. But yeah, Platinum, I think I've seen go for maybe $200. White 2, I think I've even seen go for $200, $300. So yeah, that is my collection of the more higher end games. And thank you all for watching. I'm sorry this video was as long as it was, but well, I can't cut and whatnot like I want to. So if you want to skip my infernal yapping, please do so. I will not be offended. I hate the sound of my voice sometimes. But seriously, thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, or if you made it 10 minutes back, I appreciate you. You guys are awesome. I hope you've enjoyed. And yeah, more games to come. And as I mentioned on a Twitter post, the 3 biggest games that I am looking to get are the Haunting Ground, the last OG Dot Hat game, and oh my god, what was the other one? Rule of Rose. Those are going to be some behemoths, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting them at some point. Okay, take care, guys. Bye.